step up.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. If you need any other information, just let me know, but, and at least after that phone call.
Why my clock is off so much. It's a,
Address and looked at.
supposed to be auto.
Yours is, that's all.
Or maybe that one's off, yeah. I usually go by that one.
Same 531.
31? We'll go by that one.
So sometimes that stuff does happen, and you might get busy, and you might get a run thing.
It's scary.
Just a little.
I can't drive to Halsey.
You got here just in time.
And once you're established, if you have a problem, you text her.
Crazy hot.
Like, and she, so she knows I have to.
All right. Councilwoman Daniels, your presence is requested at the dais. All right, please silence your electronic devices. We'll call this special budget work session to order. Could we have a roll call of council?
Mayor Hartless.
Here.
Vice Mayor Lucas.
Here.
Councilmember Shantz.
Here.
Councilmember Daniels.
Present.
Councilmember De Leon, absent. Councilmember Waddell, absent. Councilmember Hooper.
Present.
All right, so we're gonna have a discussion about the fiscal year 24-25 budget. Nora Yackley.
Yes. Yeah, it was kind of, sometimes our things are a little slow.
Just go.
Yep, let's just go. So, the high priority changes, town-wide, we would like to do up to a 3% merit. We would like the office assistant that is part-time to go full-time, one new full-time officer, a full-time accreditation manager, victim advocate. Over at the community center, the part-time dishwasher to go to full-time kitchen help. And the park over at Harvey Park, the playground equipment. It's in really poor shape right now, and that needs to be replaced. The other, the urban revenue shares is the only thing that's really down this year. We predict it's gonna be, we know that one is. Everything else is about, probably pretty much the same, but that one's gonna be down about 148. And then our bed tax is gonna be approximately, the revenue is approximately 165,000. And that, I know this year, we found out that we were not collecting as much as we should have, and are in the process of doing that. But next year it will go down, and will be about where we've been in years past.
Why would you say
And
that?
that is because starting in January, new legislation has gone into effect where we will not be collecting on your apartments, your boat storages, those type of things that.
Which I never
long-term
knew
rentals.
about anyway. I always thought it was just hotel.
They should have been, this whole time been paying a 2% storage tax.
Can I ask,
Did we get back pay?
that Pop Harvey Playground, what's the cost estimate on that, Steve?
We'll
Steve,
get
no?
there.
Okay, and then my other question was, how old is that?
It's over 20 years old.
Is it really? I can remember when it was new.
Like every car,
It
every.
doesn't seem like that
mower.
long ago. Yes, it was. Time flies.
Remember when we had here. They no longer make parts for it too.
All right, okay,
Yeah.
all right.
So,
How much it is?
It's
Yes.
on the next slide.
one moment, please.
Un momento.
General fund, the estimated revenue for this year is about $4,980,000 is what we're predicting. And then if we flip over the capital projects, Pop Harvey Playground equipment, there's a real safety concern. It's about $155,000 for that equipment. We are going to try to go out for grants for that, but we did budget to go ahead and replace that even if we don't get the grants. It's just in that poor of condition.
So we used to get funded from the state, from their park department. Do we get that anymore?
We can apply for those grants.
They're still available?
They are still
Okay.
available. And fortunately, those have, at this point, haven't been cut yet, but there again, we have to kind of be careful with that because the state has not come out with their budget yet.
Okay.
And they've not had any public meetings on their budget. They've had some private behind closed door kind of meetings, but as of this morning, they haven't had a real budget meeting. They're still fighting over the border.
Yeah.
Parks, they need to replace their mower at about $30,000. The rest of those, down to where we see the library, windows are all the $10,000 that we normally budget for any kind of incidentals, such as the air conditioning's going out or roof repairs or whatever might need to happen there. Library, they really need to replace those windows, and especially the big tall one on the other side.
It's not very much. They're small windows.
They are small, other than the one large window that's
But have you
very
priced
narrow but
windows
tall.
lately? Windows have really went up a
Dual
lot.
pane and like all of that to keep it cooler. They've gone up significantly.
So that one needs to be replaced. A good windstorm and it's gonna blow over.
I thought we
replaced
just
the
bought a
one-
new Toro mower, Steve.
We did. We have 3 more mowers.
Okay.
We have one, the Toro is the newest. It's about 4 years old now. The one that really needs replacing is the Kubota. It's about 13 years old now.
You get a,
Yeah, we're gonna
Toro?
replace it with a Toro.
okay.
Absolutely. And that's what that estimate was for.
Okay.
Moving on to HERF, the highway user funds, we're estimating about $3,670,000. And capital projects for those, Steve's got those broke down nicely for us. The scrub steel on Joshua and to Navajo, 19th to 20th. There's possibly a grant out there that we've applied for. We have applied for. It's a congressional grant for that particular project, and also for the removal and replacement of 4th through 6th on Ocotillo and Quartz. Both of those, we have budgeted to go ahead and get those done, but we did apply for that grant. Hopefully,
Steve, do you have plans on filling in the cracks out at Parker South? They're getting pretty wide.
On Parker Boulevard?
So you're speaking of Parker Boulevard?
The one you turn up to go to the fair?
Yes. So we did that project, I guess, 2022, in which we had Sunline go in there and pull that out and then replace it with new asphalt and about a 2-foot strip. That didn't turn out to be a permanent fix. We were hoping it was going to be more of a permanent fix. To make a long story short, yes, we can have those filled, but we're still trying to figure out what is causing that separation. We think it's an actual construction problem with how the road was built, and you can see it consistently down there about every 20 to 25 feet. So long-term or short-term, yes, we can fill them, but it's not going to be a permanent solution.
So do you think that there's not enough base or just the sand's moving
I
around?
think there's not enough base.
Thank you.
So if we didn't get those grants, it would still be 1.247.
yes, we have budgeted to go ahead and do those 2 projects even if we don't get the grant. But we're in hopes
So
that
if
we
get
do
them,
get
it's
that.
A little over $1 million.
That will help a ton. We also, which is not on here, but we also applied for the grant through Cinema, which is also those two. So hopefully with one or the other grants, we'll come through on that. Parker Boulevard and Industrial Lane intersection, we budgeted to do the engineering on those this year. It's quite a mess on that corner. I don't think it was ever really meant for those heavy trucks, and then, of course, with all the rain and the washout over the years. Second and Kofa Engineering to address the flooding that we get down that direction. Crack sealing, just the annual kind of stuff that we do, and then the annual corner asphalting repair.
Question, how many streets would we crack? Build?
Might as well
I
stay
mean,
up
for
there, man.
$20,000, how many is that? 5, 100? I don't have a clue.
I mean, typically, $20,000 gets us, it just depends on which street we actually, or which area of town we try to target. So it could get us 10, it could get us, 2. Just really depends. We did 16th Street 2 years ago, and that pretty much ate up our entire budget, just one street.
Nora, I have a question for you. On the grants that we're applying for. I know that we always put in the budget for a large amount of money in case we get grants. But do the highway fund grants, are they separate from that?
They are separate from that.
Okay.
They are. They have their own little grant kind of fund altogether. Moving on to the water. We're estimating 882,000. We know that that's a low number. But if we look at what we've done in the past, that's kind of where it would fall at. But with our new meters, we know that that's going to add some more revenue to that account. We just don't know what that is yet.
When do we expect those to be all installed?
Yeah, I was just gonna
Yeah,
say,
stay up there, Steve.
I don't think you got enough today.
Popular, Steve.
June 10th, the project's out to bid right now, so it closes, we open bids on June 10th. We'll try to obviously get things going quickly and get those installed right away. So I would figure about, I would think by August, mid-August, should all be completed.
2 to 3 months?
Yeah.
Great.
So on that same kind of note, on the fire hydrants, the those are the ones with the bags over them, I'm assuming.
Yes, we're currently working on that right
Okay.
now. So staff has actually done an outstanding job. Actually, last year when we hired Fire Do First and a hydrant service company, they came out and tested all the hydrants in town. So they came up with a list of about 15 that were out of service that they could not physically open themselves. So staff has actually been able to go back out with our equipment and get 4 of those to operate and not have to replace. So I know Blake has done an awesome job doing that. And so we've got a few more to go, but we think we've pared that down so far to about 8 remaining in the system. We have 2 that we're planning to replace right away that we just received the new hydrants for. So
Where will those 2 go? Do you know offhand?
yes, they both go on COFA.
Okay.
I want to say COFA in Arizona is one. Or not Arizona, COFA and 12th. And the other one is on COFA, but they're both on COFA. I know the fire department was happy to hear that those 2 are next on the list to get replaced, and that's what we're going to be doing.
Didn't we order more than 2?
No, we didn't order more than 2 because they're very expensive hydrants.
Yeah.
So the 2 that we did order are a deeper depth hydrant, but I'm glad that we didn't order so many because Blake's been able to go out and actually get those that weren't able to turn last year to turn and operate. And so we do typically keep some on, one, maybe two on hand, but we don't keep a lot on stock, but just because they're so expensive.
So the plan is to wait and see how many you can get operating, and then we'll know how many. we can
Yes, and so
replace.
like I said, that list has actually come down quite a bit, and we're gonna replace those. We've got some other equipment that just arrived this week that we need to install, new chlorinators from this year's budget, and so once that's done, he's gonna go back to the hydrants.
So looking at the capital projects for the water department, the lead service line inventory, which is required by EPA by October 1st, is about 20,000. We also would like to install the soft start for wells 7 and 8 for their motors. It's an energy saving thing. We'll recoup that quickly. Replace non-functioning isolated valves throughout town. I believe that is something that is also going to be required here shortly by EPA. So we're going to try to get a head start on that. Well, 6 inspections and rehab. We kind of talked about the fire hydrants already. Mini excavator and trailer. And then valve insertion machine.
You've got most of the valves replaced already, haven't you?
That's our biggest challenge is valves in town. As far as replacing those that we know are broken or non-functional, I mean, unfortunately, the list continues to grow. So once staff is finished with the hydrants and getting all those up and functional, we're then going to go through that same process in which we're going to go out and start exercising these valves throughout town so we can determine exactly which ones are not functioning. Like I said, the new equipment that we purchased with the that had the valve exercising equipment on it has been very beneficial and has paid for itself with us. So we're going to obviously use that on the valves. So
Did we ever do a valve to the hospital line?
no, that is a project that we've put on the back burner because I want to make sure that the water system and our main pump house and our backup well are all good to go before we spend $300,000 on installing a double check backflow valve to feed.
I thought the tribes were gonna pay for that.
No, we talked about it. We met with them. I met with Jeremiah. Never got a commitment. They want us to install it. And I said, well, let's get once I get town to the point that I'm satisfied that we can have a reliable system and our backup systems, then we'll move forward with a project of that sort. It's similar to the Lazy D backflow. We don't have a backflow for the Lazy D park. We need to have them install one. So we met. So they said they're going to install that one for Lazy D Park, but that
Tribes
big.
are, or Lazy D's gonna do it.
Well, he said the tribes were. Now Jeremiah is no longer with
Right.
Crit, so I don't know what's going to happen with that.
Thank
Is that, the tribe actually took Lazy D back, so it's not
Oh, okay.
leased out
Really?
any longer, yes. And there was some talk for a while that they were gonna disconnect from us and go ahead and,
Right.
put their own water system in. I think that's kind of backed off since Jeremiah's gone and they really don't know what they're doing, so, that's another conversation that we need to have with them because that backflow needs to get
Thank you.
put on there pretty quickly. So total possible grant funding, 2,628,000. So the $20,000 for the police department building is just a carryover from the CDBG stuff that we didn't finish. We won't be able to finish this budget year.
We
It'll
couldn't
go
use
into
that for the glass, the bulletproof thing and all that? Didn't we have like an overrun of 11,000? We couldn't use that 20 for that?
Well, that's part of what, that building won't be finished until after July 1st. So that 20,000 is just carried over to finish
So it's
paying
11 on
for.
top of that, right?
But you can't just go, we want alligator leather chairs, we're gonna spend all this money.
Oh, no, sir. I mean, it's already pretty much spent. It just won't be paid out until
Snakeskin.
after January.
Or shark skin.
So the meter installs, you guys have already approved that, so that's kind of the library's landscape, the refurbish of the jail, and Erin Hill Field, those are things that you guys have already approved, but we won't be getting the grant money until next year, so we have to put it into,
Next year's.
So on the jail, we're not gonna be able to get a grant?
I believe we already
Pardon?
received.
So the grant's already
We've already received
approved.
the grant.
So
yeah.
we're already in the process of working on that. It's going to be the first phase. And so the architect and his team we emptied out the jailhouse, so it's empty from, and it's cleaned up so it can actually be looked at. And they are coming up with their plan, and they're going to address the roof first and the actual foundation and get that secure, and then basically watertight. And then after, we're gonna probably go after another grant to actually get some money to kind of refurb the inside. But getting it watertight and getting the block and the foundation, the building secure is what we're looking at
Did
right
we
now.
find out if the cell is still out at Salome?
Not yet. Not yet.
So there's 4 of them that you guys have we've already gotten the okay and the agreement that we are going to get the grants. We've been approved for that. We just haven't received the money yet. So until we receive the money, we have to put it in this year's kind of budget so that we can actually spend it. We always put in the pool and the skate park and some swings at Western Park. If we get a grant, that's great. We'll do those things. If we don't, we probably won't be doing them. We did apply for the congressional funds through Cinema's office, and those were the street projects that we spoke about earlier. Design and engineer services for the curb and gutter, sidewalks,
approved.
and that one is approved as well? Okay.
That's underway. That was if you recall, we were given that by Arizona State, by ADOT, so it's the ADOT award that we received for that. The engineering came back as far as the cost for everything, and so it came back higher than what we were given as far as from the grant award. So out of pocket that we're paying is, which went to council, I believe, last month for approval, was an additional $143,000. So right now, ADOT is planning to move forward with the design and engineering on that project.
That was that check I signed, I was like, what?
Yes, sir.
Yes, it was.
That's what it was.
Yes, it was.
Those get your attention, don't they?
So CHOP Community Center and the SRO program. The Community Health Outreach Program, which is what we call CHOP, they have various grants that fund them. The Community Center is funding remains the same as it was last year. It's a 50-50 match between WACOG and the town. We are going to kind of look at that throughout this next year and maybe get some help funding that 50% that the town comes up with from the county and also Quartzsite as we service their areas of the county. Resource officer is still funded 50% by Parker Unified School District and 50% with the town. That's been a very good program for us. So with all that being said, we may have to use up to about $340,000 of what we call our fund balance, which is the balance that we kind of carry in our checking account. Now, I say that, but also on the back end of that, we did budget in here, $400,000 in contingency, so that we didn't really have to do that fund balance. We can do that fund balance if we don't have to, unless there's a huge emergency, so.
I'm not sure we're clear on the pay, the COLAs and all that. I know you had 3% merit,
Yes,
but originally we talked about 3% COLA, 3% merit, so that's,
we will not be doing, we did not budget for a COLA this year. We did a 5% last year, COLA, and our budget just can't sustain that for another year.
theoretically, everybody could get a 3%.
Absolutely. I think budget-wise, it works out better if we do the 3% COLA. I mean, merit, I'm sorry, the merit, and then, you know, that's, and everybody kind of goes, well, that's kind of up to the department head. Yes and no. I mean, they do the evaluation appropriately. And then the department head will give their suggestions on that, and then it comes to me, and the department head and I can look at that. I can talk with the worker and see how they feel about it, if they think that that isn't a fair 2% or 1% or whatever it happens to be. It seems more fair across the board than just, and less expensive for the town at this point. I know we have some concerns with almost the $400,000 piece of property that's sitting across the street, not being, nothing being done with that. I will be coming to you shortly to get some suggestions. I do have some that we probably want to try to get some development over there in a couple of different directions. We're also looking at the boat place there here in town, River Sports. It is up for sale. We will be coming before you within the next, probably the next meeting, if not July 1st, either to take 3 of those parcels back, the 3 back ones, receiving those back, or asking for him for another year on the lease on those.
I thought there was only 2 back there.
No, there are 3. There's 2 behind Spanky's, 2 behind O'Reilly's, and then there's 2 behind the boat place. So all 3 of those back there are actually being leased right now. He bought the one that was already privately owned, and then he bought the one lot right behind that from us. He paid cash for that. And that's about all, sums it all up, unless you guys have,
Got another 3 minutes.
questions.
I have a question. We had money set aside for the pool at one time. Has
Yes.
that just went into the general fund, or is it still set aside?
No, it is set aside.
Okay,
Um,
and it
Yeah.
was 200,000 or something?
We believe it's the $250,000 that was in AEA. One of the last things that Ed did before he left was he went down and cashed that CD in. I set it in the bank, and we'll talk about this again here in a little while in item 5 or 6. We just set it into the bank here, National, here tomorrow. I would like to put that into a CD again at National, so we're getting a little bit of,
Now, is that town monies, or is this the monies that we talk about that's been donated by community members specifically for the pool?
both.
both are in that.
Mhm.
Do we know how much was donated by community members and how much is actually the town's monies?
No, we have not found that information out yet.
Okay.
However, we are still digging.
I don't think we can just roll it into the general fund. My understanding is
Cannot.
if we ever said, we're done with this, the money has to go back to the people that, which would
Yes.
be difficult probably to keep
The
track
ones
of.
that, yeah, the ones that gave it in.
It's
That
been a
like
while.
donated it, and then I
Yeah.
heard some of them have since then passed on, so then it'd go to the next of kin that we'd have to ask for
Some of it's
permission.
town money, that's,
pain.
that's what we wouldn't have to give out.
Yeah, that's what I'd like to know, what the difference is, how much is town monies and how much is actually.
I would guess around 175's town, would be my guess. I don't remember for sure, but that sounds about right.
Because I heard there was a big chunk that was
I think there was
donated by somebody.
100,000 by Wayne Willett.
That's what I heard.
I don't know, it's been a while.
It's been,
You could probably look in the archives of the Pioneer because I know when it happened, I wrote about it, so.
Wayne Willett gave 100?
I believe so, that's what I,
I know him real well, I could
Phil,
find out if you
okay.
need.
I think it was Willett.
Heard it was a big chunk.
Or was it the guy that won the Yakima suit?
He on the Big River side?
No, I don't think so. What's his name?
He
Jim?
passed? He passed.
Jim Willett.
Oh, okay, I'm talking about, that's who I'm talking
Okay,
about,
yeah.
not Wayne.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like he did that back when he won the big lawsuit.
we're
He
sure that
promised
those,
it, he didn't give it,
Oh, was that
Yeah,
right?
I don't think it ever showed up.
never.
At one point, he was gonna build the pool, yeah, but it never.
I'm sure all those records are down in the basement and that,
And you can't wait to go find him.
we have that, box by box and, every once in a while, Public Works sends somebody down there and brings her up 4 or 5 boxes and we will get through that basement at some point, which will answer a lot of questions that we all
All right, anything else? Anybody? Okay, we'll adjourn this budget work session and call the regular meeting to order. Roll call of council.
Mayor Hartless.
Here.
Vice Mayor Lucas.
Here.
Councilmember Shantz.
Here.
Councilmember Daniels.
Present.
Councilmember De Leon. He's present on the phone.
Oh, he is. Okay.
Councilmember Waddell, absent. Councilmember Hooper.
Present.
All right, will please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Pastor Louis, thank you.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for letting us gather here tonight. We pray that you would give our leaders wisdom and insight, and that you would help all of us to pull together and work together to make the town of Parker a better place. And so we pray your blessings on all of us tonight in Jesus' name. Amen.
Okay. Call to the public, nothing, anything?
No, sir.
All right, Chamber Director Report, Melissa Newton.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So I was just letting you know, just a reminder that the tube float is this weekend. I'm sure you guys have probably heard it all over. But San Bernardino County Sheriff has asked me to remind the public that there is a no-wake zone from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. and from Buckskin Mountain State Park to Pirates Den. So throwing that out there, we did close online registration on Sunday. We close it every year, the Sunday before tube float. And we're at 2,673 when that closed. We've been getting a lot more. And I looked at last year's numbers. We're only 250 short from last year, but last year the Sunday fell on the 4th, so you had 2 more days of registration. So we should be right on target for a little less than 4,000.
It's about 800 more than a week ago, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's been going up. Yes, the weekend was a lot.
Like Thursday, it was 18 something. I
Yeah.
thought.
So, and then the other one is just a reminder, Meet the Candidates is June 25th at the Parker Community Center at 6 p.m. So if anyone is running that would like to go up there, please RSVP if they haven't already. Thank you.
Thanks, Melissa. All right. Only one item on the consent agenda, Town of Parker meeting minutes, May 21st, 2024. Have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Regular agenda, discussion and action to approve, deny Hopi Geronimo Catch Basin Project change order for $15,838. Steve?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Public Works Department respectfully requests Mayor and Council to approve change order from Sunline Asphalt to install one additional catch basin on Geronimo Avenue for $15,838.50. We currently have a contract with Sunline Asphalt. I'm not sure if you've seen them out there, but they've been working on this project to install 7 catch basins. Staff has determined that by installing one additional catch basin, we can help remove the water that collects in the right-of-way at the corner of 9th Street and Geronimo. The stormwater that collects here does not drain down to Riverside Drive very well, and it does impact Jake's Speed and Marine, which is located at that corner. The funds to pay for this change order are coming from the HERF Fund for Streets Capital Projects, where the balance remaining is $103,788.
Okay. Questions, discussion? Entertain a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the change order for the catch basin project on Hopi Geronimo. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Item 2, discussion action to approve, deny resolution 052024, adopting a tentative budget for fiscal year 24-25, proposing an expenditure limitation for the same year, and setting a date for public hearing on the tentative budget and adoption of a final budget. Amy Putman.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Basically just housekeeping, adopting our tentative budget that we've gone through, that Ms. Yackley went through, and setting that expenditure limitation, and setting the public hearing for July 2nd for adoption of the final budget.
Okay. Any questions or discussion? Are you asking something, Ray?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the question I just had was that during the public meeting, will that expenditure limit be identified, the amount?
I have that here. The expenditure limitation for this fiscal year is $20,304,995. So that is the maximum that we can spend. Obviously, we're coming in under that. So that is our limit, though.
All right, thank you.
All right, do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
So moved and seconded to approve resolution 052024 as stated and recommended. Any questions, discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Item 3, discussion and action to approve, deny resolution 062024 designating the chief fiscal officer for officially submitting the fiscal year 2024 expenditure limitation report to the Arizona Auditor General. Amy?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Again, just another housekeeping item. We do this annually to submit those reports to the Auditor General's office. And the finance manager does that. Really just saying that that's the person that does it, so.
Move to approve.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve resolution 062024 as stated and recommended. Any discussion, questions? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Item 4, discussion and action to approve, deny setting 2 public hearings for the proposed adoption of the alternative expenditure limitation home rule option to be submitted to voters at the November 5th, 2024 general election. Amy?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So every 4 years, we have to redo, we have to pick our limits. So this is setting the public hearing for that. Just so you know, what Nora and I had discussed was a 3%, basically a 3% inflation raise to those expenditure limitations. We typically don't ever hit that expenditure limitation, but if we have a year where we get a lot of money in a grant or, something for the park like Steve's looking at, we want to make sure that we're able to expend those funds. So for fiscal year 25-26, that'll come to $18,083,101. 26-27, $18,969,746. 27-28 be $19,918,232. And for 28-29, it would be $20,914,144. And then 2 public hearings to be set June 18th and July 2nd. And we will post those in the Parker Pioneer and Town Hall.
So this home rule thing, it's every 4 years. And if it doesn't pass, it's not a good thing. Is that
It is
safe
not.
to say?
Yeah, it is not. We'd be bound by the state-imposed limits, which are significantly less. We'd be looking anywhere right between 13 and 15 million were those state-imposed limitations for the last 4 years. I don't have those new numbers yet from the state, but I should have them shortly. So yeah, like the maximum for this year for the state-imposed limitation would be $15 million.
I believe this happened at Quartzsite.
Yes, it did.
Yeah, and they've gone through, I think they did a special election for this this year in May.
Fix it.
Trying to fix it. I know that the school board or the school district was under that state-imposed limitation as well, and it really constrains your ability to spend the revenues that you receive.
And some towns are home rule by choice, like Bullhead City, I feel like there's only like 3
There's
towns
only-
in the whole
yeah, I was gonna
state,
say, I
but
think there's
Bullhead's
less
one
than
of-
5
Yeah.
that don't have.
Which
the-
should tell you right there that it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
If that little handful doesn't, you know.
And just to be clear, this is not a tax. This
Yeah,
doesn't
you know, yeah.
cost our taxpayers or anything like that. That just allows us to spend the revenues that we receive annually.
Okay.
If it doesn't pass, we can't spend the money that we bring in.
Yeah, it's, and again, Quartzsite, talk to anybody in Quartzsite about what its challenge it's been, I think. So, all right, have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Move to approve, I'm guessing, right? Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the setting of the 2 public hearings for the proposed adoption alternative expenditure limitation home rule option to be submitted to voters at the November 5th general election. Any questions or discussion further? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item 5, discussion and action to approve deny resolution 07-2024, authorizing the mayor and the town manager to create a certificate of deposit account to secure the use of the town's commercial credit card accounts. Nora?
So National Bank of Arizona has requested that the town create the certificate of deposit, a CD, to secure the funds for utilizing its commercial credit cards, so our credit cards. They ask us for a revenue expenditure sheet report. We could not provide that for the last 2 years because all of our stuff is still being audited, and we all know the mess that we're in. So their alternative to that was, well, if you open a CD with us and use that as security for the credit cards. Now, that's where our $250,000 monies that we were speaking about earlier, we'll put that back into a CD. Our credit cards are only 115, but it keeps them open and so that we can use them
What do you mean, 115 is the limit?
is our limit.
Oh, okay. And we
We
don't
never-
carry a balance, we
We do
pay it
not.
off every month.
They get paid off every month. It comes right out of our account, every month on, I don't even know what day, but, yeah, it comes directly out of our account, so. It gives us a little extra, gets that 250 back into a CD, so we're collecting a little bit of interest in its security for the bank.
So that 250 will come from the
From the
money
one that he
we,
closed in
The
your-
one that we
the
closed in.
AEA account?
AEA.
Okay.
Just a
What are they
placeholder.
paying on interest now?
Not much. It's like,
1.3 or
I was
something?
gonna say, it's, yeah, it's
Really?
not even, it's
Not
like
much.
0.3 or something. It's not much at all.
I don't know.
They pay more on personal, but
This month it's 5 something.
Yeah, that,
Really?
commercial rates are a
Yeah.
lot lower than.
commercial rates are horrible right now. And it'll only be for a year, so we can do something different at the end of the year, because we are in hopes that our audits will be back by then. I do know that our 2021 audit is with the auditors right now, 22, 23. Dennis is hoping to have at the auditors mid-September. So,
So you say after a year, was National Bank not going to require it after a year,
but
or?
we'll be able to provide the documents.
From the
Our
auditor.
auditors.
Well, you don't have to.
Oh, okay.
They wouldn't require.
They're just
Their
nervous.
Is our
'cause
hopes.
We all hope
Yeah.
something will happen by then, so.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll have, it's by then anyway.
All right.
Motion to approve.
Second.
So moving and seconded to approve the resolution 072024 to set up the CD account to secure the use of the town's commercial credit card accounts as recommended. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Councilmember liaison reports. I'll give the tourism one because I was at the last meeting. There's a lot of discussion about, of course, about Tube Float, but really the bulk of, the fact that they're looking for a new executive director. There's a lot going on at the chamber right now. And then the fact that we're looking for a place to live. So there's a lot of moving parts happening. Louis, you're the president. If you want to add anything, I would certainly welcome you up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Now, just to let you know, I'm also chairing the search committee for a new director because I'm such a lucky person. So we have gotten through pretty good resumes in. We're in the process of following up on that right now. Tube Floats, obviously, like I said, is a go, and we're still waiting to hear back from certain things. The building's pretty up in the air at the moment, unfortunately, but we're hoping in a few weeks to have some good news, hopefully.
Thanks, Louis. Any other liaison reports?
Parks and Rec, oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
That's all right, go.
Parks and Rec started our summer program. Things seem to be really good. Ms. Romo is doing that. And I don't know, did we ever get anybody from education to come help?
No, they,
Said no.
Aaron's running that.
Yes. Yes. So that's it for Parks and Rec.
Venture, we were informed that we were approved for $4 million grant that Nora got in the nick of time for us. So that will be used partially for the engineering and then other odds and ends. And we think we're going to get the 7.3, is it?
Yes.
That will do some work down like on First Avenue and stuff. And we'll be hearing next month on our big grant,
30 million?
33.5 or something.
All right, anybody else?
And we have a meeting on the 12th.
We
Ray,
have a
you
meeting
got
on the
anything?
11th.
No, I'm sorry, I don't have anything to report right now.
Okay. All right, announcements, Saturday, June 8th, Tube Float. Still need volunteers, right? On the water and
Especially on the water.
on the water, yeah. Monday, June 10th, Library Advisory Board at 5:45. Tuesday, the 11th, Park and Recs, 4 o'clock. Monday, the 17th, Parker Community Center Advisory Board, 5:15. Tuesday, the 18th, our next regular council meeting, 6 PM. This meeting's adjourned.
Well, David, it's good to have you back.